This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Even if you're going through standard TSA, the good news is you get to keep your shoes on now.
There's a lot of trouble at CDC.
Fair representation in the United States Congress.
This is a once in probably a lifetime event.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Some Labor Day leisure. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mark Webster. Either hitting the road or waiting for wheels up, millions of Americans are working hard to get somewhere so they can not work for a while. CBS's Nicole Valdez says many are finding air travel gotten a bit easier.
There are options for now families and military members that can really bypass the wait for your standard traffic there through security. But even if you're going through standard TSA, the good news is you get to keep your shoes on now, which makes things move a lot faster.
Indeed. And if you're driving instead of flying, the road looks pretty good.
TSA is projecting 17.4 million people will head out the door for this Labor Day weekend through Wednesday. And for road trippers, this is the cheapest holiday weekend at the pump since 2020. The average price for gas is hovering around $3.20 per gallon.
That's Fox's Dana Marie McNichol. A deputy of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will serve as acting CDC director. Jim O'Neill named acting director Thursday as Kennedy warned the CDC has got some issues.
There's a lot of trouble at CDC, and it's going to require getting rid of some people over the long term in order for us to change the institutional culture.
On Wednesday, the White House fired Director Susan Menares less than a month after she was sworn in. A new Texas U.S. House map has been signed into law by Governor Greg Abbott.
That ensures fair representation in the United States Congress for Texans.
The map redraws the state's congressional boundaries in order to make them more GOP-friendly. It's backed by President Trump. It aims to flip 5 congressional districts that have been held by Democrats. The bill's author says it's needed to address a shift in voting patterns, pointing to blue border districts that voted Republican in the last 2 presidential elections. But Democrats, including State Rep. Trey Martinez, say the fight has only just begun.
Don't delete your emails. Don't delete your text messages, because that's where we're going to go next. You may win today, but we will have our opportunity in federal court.
A pair of lawsuits have already been filed to stop that Texas redistricting. Lisa Cook's emergency hearing is over. No ruling yet. The Federal Reserve governor sued President Trump after she was fired for cause. Fox's Lydia Hu was in court. She says the Trump administration's attorney argued that Cook's argument is underdone.
He actually took it a step further and pointed out that Lisa Cook has not responded to the allegations about whether she made misstatements on mortgage documents. And he says if those misstatements are in fact true and she has not disputed them, no matter what she says, no matter how she tries to explain them away, it would give the president cause.
The judge is asking for both sides for some follow-up filings to be provided on Tuesday. A salmonella outbreak being connected to recalled cage-free eggs by the CDC. The FDA issued a recall on Wednesday for large brown sunshine eggs by the company Country Eggs, and the agencies confirmed the outbreak has impacted 14 states. Health officials made that declaration after at least 95 people became ill from eating the eggs purchased in New York, California, Georgia, Florida, and other states. We've heard from the parents of the 2 children who died at the hands of the trans gunman at that Minneapolis Catholic church and school complex. Jesse Merkel lost his 8-year-old son, Fletcher.
While the hole in our hearts and lives will never be filled, I hope that in time our family can find healing. I pray that the other victim's family can find some semblance of the same.
Parental concerns about children's school safety continue to rise. A latest Gallup poll shows 41% of U.S. parents are concerned for their students' physical safety when they're at school, and that survey was conducted before Wednesday's shooting. Some business news next. Many economists expect the Fed to lower interest rates after the release of a key inflation report today. The Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, it's a key inflation gauge used by the Federal Reserve, rose 0.2%. That's in line with what was expected. The Fed rate ultimately impacts what we all pay on credit cards, loans, and mortgages. A decision is expected next month. New Orleans marking the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina today.
This is a once in probably a lifetime event.
Ray Nagin was the mayor of New Orleans when Katrina roared ashore. Former NBC anchorman Brian Williams had this to say about the storm when he went on the air August 29th, 2005.
And good evening from a battered and soaked city of New Orleans. And those windows on that high-rise building have the local people here saying it looks like a bomb went off downtown.
Del Frazier's a lifelong resident of New Orleans and says 2 decades later, the impact of Katrina is still being felt all over.
It became so surreal. You just never thought. You just never, even to the day, 20 years later, it's just hard to fathom that we had that much water with that much devastation.
Nearly 1,900 people were killed by Hurricane Katrina, the costliest natural disaster in American history. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report. Area schools reacting to that Minneapolis attack. Still waiting on Pennsylvania budget. And the amazing story of the USS The Sullivans.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. It'll be a chilly night tonight. Partly cloudy skies, a stray shower in spots. Low temps 40s. Tomorrow, sun and clouds. A brief shower near Lake Ontario and in central New York, and crisp. High in the 60s and low 70s. Plenty of sunshine and turning gradually warmer Sunday and Monday. High temperatures Sunday, upper 60s and 70s. High temperatures on Monday, Labor Day, 70s to near 80.
All right, bring back 80 again. Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. That Christian school shooting in Minnesota this week is prompting local faith-based institutions to double down on security.
We've done a variety of things to try and reduce as much as is possible the risk of something like that happening here.
Chris Johnson is founder and principal of the Cornerstone Christian Academy in Brockport, New York.
Truth is, there are no buildings that are impenetrable.
Johnson says all the security apparatus in the world won't make up for not having an armed guard on site. But right now, that's not feasible because his school just can't afford that.
I'd have to pay them at least twice what I pay any of my teachers or myself.
Jim Coltrera is co-chair of the New York State Coalition for Independent and Religious Schools.
No school is immune to violence, and our heart goes out regardless of where it happens, what community it happens to. But at the same time, I'm a public policy advocate. It gets me fired up to ensure that lawmakers are also doing everything they can.
He says Christian schools need more support from Albany when it comes to funding for school security. Pennsylvania school districts are feeling the pinch from the state budget impasse in Harrisburg. The spending plan is 2 months late. Dr. Keith Miles is superintendent of the Lancaster School District.
Let me be blunt. We're running out of time.
Many school districts are now borrowing money to pay their bills. Others are holding off on hiring much-needed staff or are having to dip into their reserves. Sandy Edling works for a school district near Philly.
The longer this impasse goes on, the more permanent harm is done to the programs and children that need them the most. Let's not allow political gridlock to derail our children's future.
Pennsylvania's 500 school districts were supposed to get $2 billion from the state yesterday. Didn't happen. Now there's no word on when the educational cash will be doled out in the absence of a new Pennsylvania state budget. Up next, highlights from today's staycation feature, our last of the summer, sad to say. We're on the Lake Erie waterfront at the Buffalo and Erie County Naval and Military Park. I had the privilege of speaking with the park's director of operations and a U.S. military veteran, Bill Abbott. In this highlight, we focus in on one of the park's big 3 ships, the storied USS The Sullivans, which made it through World War II without sinking, but almost met that fate a couple of years ago in the teeth of another formidable adversary, Western New York's wicked winds.
In April of 2022, she had a nearly catastrophic flooding event. And that's the result of a number of factors, including one that's unique to Buffalo. It's called a seiche. The winds come out of the southwest, they blow northeast, and when that happens, it's literally pushing all of the water into Buffalo.
It's like a giant bathtub getting splashed at one end.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're at that one end. Right. We're at the northeast terminus of the lake. So all that water pushes in, and it raises our ships dramatically quickly. And equally so, when the wind direction changes or it abates, the ships drop just as precipitously as they went up. We believe that the Sullivans came down relatively quickly and came in contact with something on the bottom, which caused about a 4-foot series of gashes in her starboard side.
Almost lost her.
Very closely, yeah. And I had just come here after retiring from the military and law enforcement. I had COVID that day.
Welcome to your new job.
So I was on the ship that night feeling like I got hit by a train, and I'm trying to find ways to save the ship, and it was already too far gone. We looked at a few different ways to conduct repairs. And so we landed with dry docking, which I think is going to be the most comprehensive and realistic repair and longest lasting repair. It's going to be next year. And we've started the process of additional assessments to make sure that the Sullivans and the Croker will survive the winter so that they can get to dry docking. And the dry docking package that we have is for both vessels.
So in its current temporarily repaired state, the Sullivans is still accessible to park visitors?
As of right now, the main deck and above is accessible.
So let's just talk about the Sullivans, its history, what people can see there, and just what it means to have it here.
It's really an American cultural icon when you think about it. It's part of the stories that we see in movies, Saving Private Ryan, it's that same theme. When I came here, even after my years in the military, I was not as familiar with the story as I should have been. The 5 Sullivan brothers, they lost their lives on Friday the 13th of November in 1942. Their mother, Alida Sullivan, found out about her son's possible loss by a neighborhood rumor. She didn't even know officially. Ultimately, 10 did survive. There's a letter, and you could find the original handwritten letter. I think it's either in the National Archives or the Library of Congress that Alida wrote. It's 3 pages. It's very emotional, where she first apologizes to the president for being any trouble, which is astonishing. And in that, she writes that she heard a rumor that 5 of her 6 children were lost in a single event. 10 days to 2 weeks later, President Roosevelt wrote back to her confirming her worst fears that the boys were lost. And what's most amazing to me is Alida Sullivan, after that event, turned around and looked for ways to serve other mothers so that they don't suffer any portion of the loss that she did. What type of human being has the capacity to do that? I'm a father. I can't even imagine. And
the greatest generation.
Truly, truly. She moves her concern away from herself and places it on others so that they don't suffer that. There should be monuments all over the country to remind us of what service and sacrifice actually looks like. We're working on what we call the Memorial Wardroom, artifacts from the Sullivan family. This is something that we intend to launch in the next few weeks. There's so many great stories.
You must hear a lot of interesting comments.
I served in Iraq. There were people that I served with that didn't make it home. And the reason that I'm here is I want to make sure those stories get told. I had the privilege of meeting some people, children of veterans who are no longer with us, and they've shared stories. And there's no better place in my mind to be able to honor that group of people and to learn about the sacrifice they made for all of us. Those stories need to be told.
Thank you for your time and thank you for your service.
I'm grateful. Thank you.
That's Bill Abbott, U.S. military veteran and Director of Operations at the Buffalo and Erie County Naval and Military Park. You can hear the entire feature and all of our Family Life News original features at Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and at FamilyLife.org. This is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Have you ever seen a bald eagle take off and fly toward the heavens? The Bible says something else flies away, just like that. Hi, I'm Rob West with the Faith and Finance Minute. Proverbs 23:4-5 says, "Do not toil to acquire wealth. Be discerning enough to desist. When your eyes light on it, it is gone, for suddenly it sprouts wings, flying like an eagle toward heaven." Of course, God calls us to work diligently, provide for our families, and give generously so we can help those in need. However, if you've ever watched a chunk of your retirement savings disappear, you know how quickly earthly wealth can vanish. But here's the hope that we hold. God is faithful. He will never leave us or forsake us. Even when our savings shrink or seem to fly away, His faithfulness remains. We can help you learn to manage your money according to biblical principles when you download the free FaithFi app. You'll find it on our website at faithfi.com.
All right, coming up here on the 5 o'clock report, going high-tech to deal with a slithering infestation.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Asps. Very dangerous. You go first.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. The Labor Day weekend is here, and going to be out and about this weekend, maybe heading to the New York State Fair in Syracuse, maybe to take on the Nittany Lions home opener in football Saturday afternoon at State College, maybe a little barbecue or trip to the lake. You're looking just fine overall. The issue will be the temperatures. They'll be a little low to start the weekend, very cool in autumnal, but warming is ahead as the weekend wears on. It'll be a chilly night tonight. Partly cloudy skies, a stray shower in spots. Low temps 40s. Tomorrow, sun and clouds. A brief shower near Lake Ontario and in central New York, and crisp. High in the 60s and low 70s. Plenty of sunshine and turning gradually warmer Sunday and Monday. High temperatures Sunday, upper 60s and 70s. High temperatures on Monday, Labor Day, 70s to near 80.
Can't wait for that 80 again, Kevin. Thank you very much. Finally at 5, invasive snake species devastating your local environment. Hey, it's 2025. Send out the robots.
You are under arrest. Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
Now, if RoboCop had a pet, maybe it would have been a Robo-Bunny. The state of Florida is now using robot rabbits to control the Everglades' invasive Burmese python population. The South Florida Water Management District collaborated with the University of Florida to deploy 120 Robo-Bunnies this summer, hoping to lure the elusive snakes out of their hiding spots. The $4,000 mechanical decoys mimic the appearance, movement, even the scent of real marsh rabbits, which are a favorite python snack. Though this official tells KVUE part of them's kind of rooting for the snakes.
I'm a snake lover, so it's a double-sided coin for me, having to remove all these snakes, but they're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Indeed, officials say the project is still in its early stages, but initial results are promising. Of course, if it was up to me, I'd program the bunnies to talk too.
What's up, Doc?
What's up is our time. That's the world we live in for Friday, August 29th, 2025. Thank you again for joining us. Have a blessed Labor Day weekend. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.